My name is Janet. Welcome to Janet Asks. If you're a high schooler like me who also struggles in figuring out what you want to do when you grow up for your career life, don't worry because this channel is for you. I'll be interviewing people of all different occupations, and hopefully that could help you understand these careers a little bit better and help you figure out which career is best suitable for you. So let's get started. I'm so excited for today's video because we will be looking at the career of product designing. I'm very interested in this because personally I love drawing and I love art, so I can't wait to learn more about this career. Our first guest of Janet Asks is a highly talented artist who worked formerly as a university teacher, a children's book illustrator, and she's now an entrepreneur and the product designer of the company called Earnin. So let's all welcome Lee. Hi Lee, how's it going?
It was great, yeah. Nice to see you again, Janet. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining me here on Janet Asks. And I'm very excited to learn more about your job. I already talked about in my intro about how you're a product designer, but can you just elaborate a little bit more on what that means and what do you do exactly as a product designer?
Definitely, yeah. So as a product designer, you design product, that will be used by people. Yeah, either it's physical products or it's digital products that's on the phone, or web product on the computer. So basically, you design the product. So as a designer, basically you have to relate the product to people, right? So you have to know what their needs are and who are you designing for, and what kind of use case they will be using it in, and are you including all those different use cases on that. And of course, before that, like, you also have to, because you work for a company, or you work for a specific audience, and would people pay for that, and you have to think from the business aspect and knowing how much would it cost for people to get this product, how much are they willing to pay, how this product will perform in the market, and how many like products are out there, like in terms of competitors. So you need to know the market, the product, the people, and then in the end, when you deliver the product, it has to be elegant, right, beautiful, so people feel like pleased, or like wanted to use it, right? So yeah, so it has many aspects on about it. So I think as a product designer, that you're really solving a problem mainly by presenting this product as a solution for people, for business, and yeah, like for the market. So
That sounds very interesting. There's a lot more, much more than just art. It's very interesting. So
definitely.
let's start from the beginning. How did you start getting interested in this career path, and how did you become who you are today as a product designer?
Yeah, that's a great question, because not everyone, is like born to be a product designer, or it's very hard. Like, I think even like a decade ago, probably product design is not as popular as it is today. So because it's a relatively new kind of industry as well. So for me, I started as like having interest in art. So I loved drawing when I was young, and then I participated a lot of like drawing competitions and practiced a lot. And then yeah, so I went to a art college actually, for my undergrad, and also graduate school as well. Like, I majored in visual communication, which is a sort of design, like graphics basically, which was popular back then. um, and then after that, I started teaching graphic design, yeah, in the in two southern universities actually. And because I think when I was in college, I actually explored, I am relatively rational compared to some of my classmates. Whenever there's a project, I proceed, or I like process it in a way that's like actually much more rational than my peers. So I know that I'm looking for something like beyond just expressing myself as an artist. And I never, like, personally, I didn't mean like say this is not valuable, but personally I don't find value presenting my work in galleries or just go showing those work. I find it more valuable if my work can benefit other people. So I'd rather paint a piece of art and give it away to people, because that will make people happy and they will hang on the wall and create pleasure for them. So that's why I like, when I found out the world about product design, where I can make things to make other people happy, make other people's life better. I just found like this is the perfect, like industry or area I need to get into. Not only it utilizes my artistic skills and background, but also I can express it in a way that solves certain problem. It's more practical, and then it fulfills my purpose of wanting to make people like feel happy, and also like helping them in that way. Yeah, so that's how I came like came across product design, also thinking that this is a much better area that fits me than just purely doing like beautiful art that can hang in the gallery. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that you're doing your job is for a purpose. Like, I like how you said that you're you want your job to be like purposeful and helping other people, and I think that's very important when thinking about what careers we want to do. You want it to be like important to society as well. So I know that as artists, portfolios are very important for hire and like going into different jobs. And so what kind of portfolios do people look for when hiring like product designers specifically?
Yeah. I think again, this is a great question, and since I came from a visual background, I can tell you what not to do. In terms of applying for like some product designer role. Yeah, people who come from a visual background might like like myself. I early on I also made mistakes of putting too much emphasis on the beauty, like on the appearance of the work. Say how see look at my technical skills, right? Look at how much like my eye level can get to, right? Like, so I focus too much on this two level, which is like the beautiful work that I can make, that I can do, and a lot of them different variety things like that. However, as a product designer, like your concept, and also the way how you solve problem, the process is very important. How you approach a problem, from the very beginning, from scratch. How, like, say, how would you start your research? How would you go interview people, and how would you like make a survey, to gather insights? And then what have you gone through in the process, and how did you form your insights that made your design? And then all the way till the design, like the pixels and things that you settled. So explaining the process of the whole, like problem to solution. It's like a journey, it's like a story you tell. You have to be complete. You can't just like show, here we go, this is what I did. No, but how did you get here, right? So that's the thing. I think as a product designer you have to do really well. And I can tell you, for the portfolio, as a product designer, people definitely are not looking for quantity. So even only one or two pieces are totally okay, because they're complex enough for you to say, like to demonstrate or talk so much about your process and the way how you approach the solution and how effective the solution is, and some data, some statistic to demonstrate how effective it is. And all those are important. So that's why only one or two pieces enough. But a lot of people, maybe, similar like me, who came from a visual background, could approach it completely differently. Like we would show 20 different, pieces or, portfolio, that, like how this would look. I have illustration skills, I have, typography skills, I have drawing skills. It's those things are more for the creative side, like for those who wanted to do, like, say for example, maybe ads, maybe, like design of certain things, yeah, like not necessarily for product designer. Yeah, so just I hope that was clear, like the difference between like a creative path and also the design for products.
I think, as I said, product design is a lot more than just pretty pictures. They care a lot more about like the process and how it actually works. Now, I know that design and art is very fun, but what is your favorite part of being a product designer?
Yeah, great question. And I do actually enjoy being as a product designer. And then the like, since I started, as I said, since I started from the visual side, right? Like, so I started as like a student learning how to paint, how to draw and stuff like that too, and made me focus on a specific area and not worry about too many things around it, or that's irrelevant. So the part I like about product designer is that it touches every aspect about the solution or things that you want to do. Yeah. um yeah, a very I think a very simple example is that when I yeah, like say when I taught a class early on, serve I want the students to help create, like say, children's illustration book for a Somali community, right? And in that way, the children's illustration book is already defined, which is the format, right? But if I were to apply the product design thinking, is that I would study or research and learn more about the community and see what would be the best kind of solution for them in order to solve like the issue of preserving the culture in the US, right? So not necessarily like a children's book. That could be a format, but it could be other things. But as a product designer, I just think that the potential is huge, since that you have a very systematic way of approaching the problem, that you would dive deeper into the context, into the customers, into the people, like learn about how they feel about their thinking, and using all those things that you learned from the environment, from people, from things, and then use that to form your solution. I just think that is what appears to me. Yeah, like I do appreciate, like the fact that I can focus on a specific like piece I can create, but at the same time I do want to have a very broader view. Yeah, and to allow myself to get into the different aspect of the problem in order to get to the solution. So I love that aspect about the product design, because it's much broader. It touches every aspect. If you were in the business, then it touches, like maybe marketing, it touches, user concept, it touches like, yeah, like many aspects, even in the social society kind of issue and stuff like that. Yeah, and which is a little complicated, but I love the complexity part about the product design. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very fun and cool. But I'm sure there's also very difficult parts of your job. So, what is the most difficult part of being a product designer?
Yes. I think it's almost like whatever is good, could potentially be like some like, I mean, like not bad, but have its drawbacks because of the complexity, because like a lot of things that is unpredictable, like you have to figure it out. So I think in the product design area, like a lot of things could be um like not stable, right? Like, so it changes all the time and evolves all the time. Yeah. And you have to keep learning and keep adapting to new environments. Yeah. So I think another aspect, not specifically tied to product design, is that designers in general serve a client, or purpose. We call it sometimes stakeholders too, right? So if you were not specifically in product design, like in other areas of design, you could like serve a client who didn't like certain things you present or you create. So they will keep asking you to change, make, like improvements, and then just version after different versions. Yeah. So it could be tedious and could be like kind of annoying, right? Like because you're serving another person and it has to fit for their, like what they want and their aesthetics too. Yeah. So it's very different from art, right? It's very different from being an artist because you can just paint, draw, express whatever you want and you like, and now you're serving a person or a group that have more decision power than you, so you have to keep doing that. But I think the best design is that because you have thought about every aspect, that your solution or your design is powerful enough to convince the stakeholder, to convince your boss, your client, to let them know that this is a good solution, right? And they will like the solution because you have thought about many other possibilities, right? So yeah, that's yeah, it has its drawbacks, but I think yeah, you can balance it out if you can be a more thoughtful designer. Yeah.
Can you please explain what like a typical day as a product designer, like what does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. So I think a typical day could be very similar with other type of job functions, like because people work in the companies and usually do the same. So, um, in the morning, like start at 9 o'clock. Yeah, we have a stand up. A stand up meeting is some like people who are related to the specific project come together and then meet and say what I've done this week or yesterday and what I'm going to do today. This includes, the product manager, product designer, engineers, like different back end, front end. Yeah. So everybody will talk about that. And so I will share things that, oh, I've done that yesterday. Today I'm going to do this. So like that, right? And then there will be more meetings related to syncing up about this project. Like for example, on Monday we will have one specific project meeting with leadership, like the like CTO, CPO, CEO, and different levels, and then we'll update them where the project is and then how is it going. What are the difficulties and things like that. So there will be like a lot of meetings in the day for sure to communicate, right? Because you work with other people, so you need to make them aware like where you are and like what are the gaps in between the thoughts. Yeah. So it could be group meetings. Yeah, it could be like individual meetings, or it could be like 3 or 4 person type of meeting. So a lot of things like that. And if I get a chance, in between the meetings, like 2 or 3 hours, yeah, like I would dive into some of the design tasks. Yeah, the design tasks, specifically, we make it in a software called Figma. Yeah, which is a new, like saying, I think not recently, like 1 or 2 years ago that I just started learning about that. Yeah, and then so we make design in Figma, and then once I finish certain things, because it's important to announce, to tell the engineer, I will send the piece or the link to them so they can refer back, like, oh, what is the design? How can I implement it? Yeah, things like that. So yeah, a lot of those are definitely consist of, like between meetings and just making the product. Yeah. So it's all about doing things and communicating. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot more communication than just like doing things or
Yeah.
drawing. So as high schoolers, we always try. I feel like there's like special things you need or like ingredients that you need in order to succeed in certain like jobs. So what do you think are specific traits that you need in order to succeed in product designing?
That's a great question. Yeah. Um, from my perspective, like I think you gotta look at like in two aspects. So imagine that you can have, as a product designer, like you can have two important ways of how you look at things. One is a telescope, right? You can look at things that's really far away, that's like huge, like over the moon, like that kind of thing, because you can see so far away. And also you should be able to look at things that is so close up, like a microscope. you know, so you can look into a certain item and even see the cells in it, you know, like, so that's what we talk about. Like as a product designer, you should be able to zoom yourself out of the situation so that you can see where you are, where this problem is in terms of the whole context, you know, like the big picture. Can you see the big picture of how this problem exists in society, in the environment, in people's life, in the context, you know, like then in the, like basically at a high level, do you understand all those things? And then once you did, or once you have, you know, figured that out, can you dive into the details of designing certain things pixel to pixel, that is so tiny that you care about, is this like 16 pixel versus 17, you know, like what is the 1 pixel difference, and should we stick to that or not? Like you should be able to care about that type of detail as well. Yeah, so I think as product designers, like if, you know, I would use that to describe, is definitely zooming in and zooming out, allowing yourself to be, you know, immersive in those kind of contexts and still be able to practice and produce the best kind of solution. Yeah.
Um, so this is a pretty general question, but what do you think is a key like difference between an artist and a designer?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great to think about, you know, like you right now you love art, which is awesome. And I think yeah, it's a wonderful thing and wonderful skill, you know, like you have as an artist. Yeah. So the difference between artist and designer, I think the, you know, many people probably have different concept or different opinions, but in my perspective is that artists express for themselves and make art for themselves however I like it, right? Like what is in my mind, I wanted to make it known to other people. So when I hand my work that is abstract or somehow, you know, very difficult to understand, and just like, you know, people may or may not like it, when I hand it on the gallery, you see a description where people have to come and read it and try to understand you, because you are the artist, your mind think completely differently than a normal person, right? So that's how like people try to even come to understand you because your work hand in the gallery and creates a certain of like, you know, challenge or certain type of different thinking, yeah, to them. But as a designer, you serve other people, your work solves a problem that serves other people, so you have to know the other people, whoever you are designing for, you have to know so much about them that your solution serves them. Yeah, so it's more practical for sure, right, than whatever the artist creates. Yeah, so I think that's the main difference, yeah, between a designer and artist. And so if you love, you know, more about like exploring how you think and how you view the world and the different aspect you have, do art, you know, express yourself through art. Yeah, but if you're interested in learning about other people's problem, like solving, you know, like their problem and create creative solutions for them, yeah, be a designer. So that's the main thing.
That's a very interesting aspect. I didn't really think about that before. Um, and for many high schoolers who want to pursue art or design, many people, like especially parents, do say that it's a very risky career to get into, and sometimes they might even try to gear them away from it. So what do you think are some like misconceptions that you would like to like clear up and help people understand the career a little bit more?
Yeah, you know, like there are definitely probably more jobs opening for, you know, engineers, and then you have way more career paths and choices to go. Yeah, but I think some misconception is that um maybe because like artists, you know, like there's not a lot of like career options or jobs like that is available as, you know, like those science related major. So people think that artists or in general like art and design majors cannot make a good living, right? That's why they call them starving artists, right? So they will think like, oh, when you become artist and you don't make good money, and then you'll starve and then you will have a bad life. Yeah, so that's how people usually, right, like to connect like not making good money, you know, with the art, or being an artist. Yeah, so I think that's one misconception. And another one is that maybe because you don't have a lot of money, they assume that you're not happy and that you don't enjoy your life, or your world or your life isn't as interesting. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so I think those are the two major, like, misconception that I've heard and maybe also experienced. Yeah. But I do wanted to clarify that here, that I think there are misconceptions too, but because first of all, for the money part, nowadays, especially at this time, during this time, I think the world has been changing like constantly. It's so different. Being an artist, it doesn't mean that you just have to sit at home doing, like art all day and then looking for galleries, potentially people who can find you and stuff, right? But because the world is evolving and talented artists can get on YouTube, like teaching people how to draw and then being found, by many different galleries and stuff. And then designers, they can build their own like studio, and they can create, like design their own like costume, like yeah, their own different kind of store, or just experience, all kinds of entrepreneurial kind of paths like by themselves as well, right? And and also I can tell you, like designers have, like especially those who work in tech world, right, has never been so favored by the technology worlds, in comparison to all the past times. Yeah. And nowadays, because all the technology company, like realize how important the beauty, the aesthetic part is, right, to the customer, to other people. So that's why Apple, like say the company values like design so much, and that's why some other companies like even realized this and started hiring a lot and a lot more designer, right? And this is the time, I've also heard from another person, he's was saying this is the time, the only time that a designer or an art, art measured, or like person, the only time that their salary can match up with a doctor or a lawyer, right? Because it's a new world. It's a new world that the world demands for good designer and good artist, so that they can make this much money because the market is looking for it. Yeah. And in the past, lawyer and doctors are the ones that, all the parents and all the people want their kids to get into, because they make the best money, like it's like the most like profitable kind of industrial job you can get into. But nowadays, engineers or even artists and designers can also get to that level because the society or the industry demands differently now. Yeah. So I think we should totally approach it from different perspective, like, so the world is changing. There's so many different ways of thinking differently. Like the as an artist or designer, you're creative, so when you think creatively, create different things. I've seen artists like making tons of money. I've seen designers who creates a lot of companies, like being very successful. So it's very different. And then in terms of the other aspect, like how people might think like artists might not be as happy as they are, because they don't have the money part. I have to say that people don't understand like the artist and to that level yet. Artists are the ones that their mind thinks so differently, that they explore life so differently, that they choose a certain path. Of course they are going to be happy about it. Like even artists who decided to say do some artistic experiment and decided to lock himself in one room just for a year, for certain like artistic like performance, he of course is happy because he's expressing himself. He's not following any other person's life, because he is trying to live on his own and trying to find his own soul and path, like spirit. And I've seen some best or happy people actually around me, like our artists are very artistic minded, because they think so differently from the rest of the world, because they can define their value are so different from the rest of the world, so they can find happiness in the thing that they do, in the path that they choose. Yeah. So sorry if it's a too long of a answer, but that's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely misconceptions that I personally know all too well as someone who's really interested in art and drawing and design. And I think when you explain it like that, that might help a lot of people view it in a more open-minded and more understanding way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to also share a little bit example from my parents. Yeah, I didn't grow up with like a very wealthy, like or like abundant, kind of family. And my parents, despite like our family condition, my parents supported me fully to pursue art and design major. Never had all of us thought about that I would enter into, like, say, the tech world with the artistic skills, right, and then live in the Bay Area and start from that. So not anybody in my family or myself could imagine 10 or 20 years after I studied art what would happen to me. So I'm very happy and I'm very glad that my parents was very supportive for any path that I'm willing to choose, because I am responsible for it. I knew it was a good path because it follows my passion and stuff. So I am happy about my choice, and I never look back or just blame my parents and say, see, you make me choose this because I'm not happy. So I'm responsible for that, and I'm very happy that they allowed me to do that. So I just wanted to share, like, those parents who were thinking maybe at this time, but who knows what will happen in 10 or 20 years. Like opportunities, different industries, different technologies emerge. Like things in the world would be different. Yeah, so I still think like there's a big world, a big possibility for art to emerge in many other different industries too. Yeah.
That's very good that your parents are very supportive, and it's good that you become like successful with what you like enjoy and what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Um, so we're down to the final question. So, what are some like advice that you could give to younger high schoolers or even younger college students that want to pursue their career path in art or design? What would you give them?
Yeah. That's a great question. And I will just, because you're right in front of me, I will just, like talk as if I'm giving you, right, like my piece of advice. Yeah. Um, First of all, because if you have art, interest in art and design, I would totally suggest do not stop exploring yourself, because that's all about, like that's about the art and the design piece, that you have to know yourself well. You have to know what you want. You have to know like what's in your mind, and how can you make it clear to yourself and others. So do not stop, explore yourself. And as I said, I've taught like design for college students, and the thing that the type of student I love the most is that they have explored enough about themselves. They know what they're interested in. They know this is the thing that they're used to. They know this is the style they love. So they have a very distinguished perspective and view, skill set, like perspective on themselves, that I know how to guide them, because they already revealed so much about themselves. So, and that's the best students that I could help push further, because they already stepped a foot, like a step forward, and I know like how to push them, with another one. Like with those who have never, who doesn't know anything about, like yeah, it could be like a canvas, like a wide canvas that they can't explain anything. But even as a high schooler, I just suggest that you do not stop exploring yourself about you. Okay, so yeah, who you are, who do you want to become, what do you want to do, what's in your mind, how could you be differently with others, with your thinking and stuff. So that's my first piece of advice. Secondly, be open-minded, and also be aware of the world around you. So that's my, like, that it's a little contradict with the first one, right? But because you have good understanding about yourself, about what you want, and you're thinking, another thing, another level to reach is to open yourself to other people, to environments around you, to new things, and to new skill sets, to completely different things. Because not only would that inspire you to be a completely different person, to become a better artist, a better designer, but also that helps you to understand how other people think, like what's their mindset. And if you want to become a designer, you have to understand their perspective, their feelings, their motivations, and their goals, so that you can design a better product for those people, right? And no matter what kind of people they are too, like, because your job or responsibility is to understand all sorts of people, all kinds of people. Yeah. So how can you be open to those people, to the environment, to the different knowledge? Yeah. So that's why I would suggest, like, if you have the opportunity to do an interview like this, to create a YouTube program, just like you are going to, if you have the opportunity to learn a new language, to try computer programming, and to have a conversation with a person from completely different field, go do it. Yeah, because that will open up your mind, and it will bring you a lot more perspective. You will learn from many different people and things, and it will make you a better designer and better person in general. Yeah, so that's my two piece of advice, and I hope that it's not contradicting, and I hope that you can apply them even when you're in high school.
Yeah, those are very, very good advices and good insights. And yeah, that's the end of our interview. And thank you so much for giving your insights and giving your knowledge about your job. And I've really learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet. Yeah, I'm very happy that I was helpful, and best luck and best wish to your to the YouTube program they are going to run. And yeah, I hope that you can open your mind, through this program, that many other, like, to many other field and job, and so that you can make a better choice for yourself and also inspire your peers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you learned a lot from Lee. I know I have. If you want to learn more about another specific career, please comment down below, and that could be the next career we'll look into and explore. If you like this type of video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to follow more updates, please follow my Instagram. I hope you have a great day, and thank you again so much for watching. Bye!